right, guys, we are going to get started working on Photoshop today. So this is going to be our first project using Photoshop. So the first thing that we need to do is to get your pictures that you took with the camera and get those up and find the ones that you want to edit. So we will have to go to the shared drive. So open the shared drive. You will have two options available for you. I have a lot more since I'm a teacher, but I want you to go to the Sage folder, not your school folder. Then find the folder with my name on it. It says Graphic Design. Click on that. And then we're going to go to Photos. All right, find the folder that has your day of the week that you were at Sage and open that folder up. And then find the camera that you used and got your picture stored on and open that folder. If your folder opens up and it looks like this, can't really see the image real well, but if you click on this button right here, it gives you a better thumbnail view of your picture so you can actually see what it is. So I want you to find 3 pictures that you really want to edit. We're just going to start with one at a time. So it helps if you choose a picture that has other things going on around it, because we want to take one of the props and isolate it and remove the background. So if I were to take this image right here of Garfield, which is a close-up of his face, it's not going to really work well with this image because all you see is Garfield. So find an image where you want to take something out. And I'm going to go ahead and just choose this image here. Works really well. I can remove Garfield from everything else. So what you need to do is grab the image and move it over here to your desktop. Now it's not going to remove it from the shared drive. It's just making a copy of it. If you open it by double clicking, you can't take this and drag it to your desktop. It won't let you do it. So you need to make sure that when it's here directly from the shared drive, you grab it and move it over. So find an image that you like. And now let's go ahead and open up Photoshop. So go to your Launchpad, find your Photoshop icon. It's the blue box, says PS. Double click on it. All right, we need to start a new document. So whether we're doing it in Illustrator or Photoshop, the process is the same. Go up to File and then New, or you could do Command N is the shortcut. So Adobe has, when it did its last update, changed the different kinds of documents you have available to you. So whenever we're doing Illustrator stuff, this would be the kind of documents we would choose. Gives you more options. But since we're doing photography, we're just going to go to Photo. And it has all of our regular aspect ratios for what we use in photography. So we're going to go ahead and just use the default Photoshop size for this one, which is 7 by 5. Over here, you can title this document. I'm just going to do Photoshop number 1. So we're going to keep our width at 7 and our height at 5, and it's going to be in inches. You can change your orientation. So if you want your picture to be more vertical than horizontal, then you're going to choose the portrait orientation. Right now I have mine set for landscape, which means that there's more horizontal than vertical, so it's longer than it is tall. The resolution, we're going to keep that at 300 pixels per inch. We're going to keep it in our RGB color mode. And right now the background color is going to be white. I'm going to show you how to personalize that next. So when you're ready, hit Create, and your document will pop up. Automatically comes in as a layer, and it is locked right now. So what we need to do to personalize this is we're going to choose a color that we want to put it in. So right now, because I've already been playing with this, my colors are pink and orange. Yours are probably both white. So in Illustrator, this was our fill color, and then this was our stroke color or the outline color. In Photoshop, it's a little bit different. We have our foreground color and our background color. Basically, the two colors are when you're going to be using gradients. So we really just need to worry about the foreground color right now. So if you double click on that, your color picker comes up. So go ahead and choose a color that you like, that you want to use for your background. Right now we're just going to worry about a single color background. So choose your base color that you like. Click OK. Then over here in your toolbar, I want you to find the paint bucket tool. Like I said, I've already been doing this, so mine popped up automatically. Yours is probably over here where you have your gradient tool. So if you see your gradient tool there, since we have our drop down button, do a right click and find the paint bucket tool. Click on that, and when your cursor changes to the paint bucket, whatever color you have for there, when you click onto your background, will change it to that color. So now for the gradient. If I come back over here and switch it to the gradient tool, you're going to see that that blue and orange color shows up here. So every time you click on one of these tools up here at the top, it changes to what your options are for that tool. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my gradient, and you see that that blue and orange that I had popped up. So I can change my gradient to more radial block. Goes from the center outwards with the lighter. There's a diamond gradient. So you can choose which one of these you like. If you don't like these colors here, say you want to keep that blue but you want this one to be different, double click on that, the background color, and then you can choose a color that you like. And maybe do a darker color. And then see up here it changed it. If you double click on this, you can edit that gradient, and it also shows you some preset gradients that there are in the Photoshop. So over here you can change the sliding amount. You can delete one of these. You can add a color. So you just click on there, then double click to change the color. You can see that it changes that. Alter it how you want it to be when you have it the way you want. Hit OK. And now we're going to draw the way we want our gradient to be. So it's going to look like this, but you can decide if you want it to start from one corner to the next. You can have it go the opposite way by changing the direction this way. You can have it go from top to bottom, side to side, or even alter it a little bit that way. So you have lots of control with how you want your gradient to look. So figure out how you want your background to look, and then it's time to get our picture put in place. So I'm going to leave my background just like this, and then we have to find that picture from our desktop. So if Photoshop covers up your entire screen like this, then you need to come over to the corner or to the side and just get it to squash down a little bit so that you can actually see your desktop. So find the image that you put on there, and you're going to drag it directly onto your background. You need to tell the computer that you actually want this image here, so that's why it has these lines, is the computer is waiting for you to tell it that yes, you want it. So you have two options. You can either just hit enter, or up here just click on the check mark. Obviously if you don't want it, then you click that and it removes it. So click the check mark, and now the picture is in place. However, if you look over here, it added that new layer, but you see this little rectangle down there? Basically that's the computer telling you that what it put in place was like a screenshot. So it's not something we can alter just yet. So we need to let the computer know that we want to alter this image. So it's going to have to convert it into bits. And in order to do that, we have to rasterize this image. And that's just the process of the computer converting it into bits that we can manipulate. So over here at the name of the document, that's the name of what the picture was. If you right click right there at the name, you have all of these different options that pop up. We want to find rasterized layer. So click on rasterize layer, and you notice that now that little rectangle is gone, which means we can now alter this image. If you don't rasterize it, nothing else is going to work, guys. All right, so the first step is we want to tell the computer to grab just Garfield. That way that we can get rid of everything else. So the tool we need for that is over here, and it is called the Quick Selection tool. If you have your magic wand tool that pops up instead right there, just do your right click and get it up so that you can now use this tool. So it looks like a paintbrush with these dotted lines. So here are all the options for that tool popped up here on the top. Right now it is set at size 14, which means the computer is just going to be picking up 14 pixels at a time. So that's pretty small. You can see the circle is pretty small. So I'm going to increase the size by clicking on that drop down arrow and moving my size up a bit. Over here, this is when, if you're a really good photographer and you really want to get nitpicky with the computer picking up pixels, that's what these things are here. But I don't have enough knowledge yet to figure those out, so we're just going to do this part. So you can see my circle got bigger, which means it's going to grab more pixels, and as soon as I clicked, it has this section that it has ready to go. And you can see what we call those marching ants, little marching ants, for the selection that I have. So I can keep clicking and increasing the marching ants so that they're grabbing more of Garfield, but it's much easier if you just hold down the left side of your mouse pad and then just drag it over and just get the stuff that you want, because the computer knows to look for those colored pixels. So you can see I got everything but over here on this leg and the whiskers. So I need to keep clicking over here or dragging over. But if you notice, once I did that dragging over, it grabbed that white section over here. So I need to get rid of that section of it. And you see over here is a minus, so I can click on that and it will subtract that part so that my marching ants are just over here on Garfield. But a much easier way is to hold down the Alt key. So if you notice, once I hit Alt and I'm holding down Alt, it changed from plus to minus. As soon as I release Alt, it changes back to plus. So this is just like what we used in Illustrator when we wanted to delete a section. We would hold down Alt and make it go from plus to minus. So now I'm going to click over here, tell it to get rid of those pixels, and go back that section there. You can spend a lot of time really zooming in and getting nitty-gritty with getting your pixels to make it perfect. We don't really have time for that, so I'm going to change my size a little bit. I'm going to get rid of that section over here. Oops, too much. And really got to work on those whiskers. So I got to make my pixel size much, much smaller so the computer is able to focus in on that black part of the whiskers. Now, computers do have a hard time when you have anything that's like hair, where the hairs kind of go everywhere, or plants where you got lots of empty space in between. So it depends on how nitpicky you want to get with this. You can go down to one single pixel if you want to, but that's going to take time, and I'm not going to worry about it that much. You can zoom in even more to really start seeing a close-up of those pixels. Oops, wrong button. So figure out how much you want to spend on this. When you have it the way you want, so you've got your marching ants over all the parts that you want to keep, now we got to tell the computer to grab everything but what we want to keep. So we're going to go up here to Select, and in Select I want you to go click on Inverse. Inverse means opposite. So I wanted it to grab everything but Garfield, because now I'm going to cut all of this stuff away. You could hit Delete on your keyboard, or I'm going to do Command X. That means cut. That means I can still pull back, or bring back the other part because it'll be saved on my clipboard. So now I just have Garfield and I want to move him. So I'm still on my quick selection tool. So I want to get the move tool, which is literally called the move tool, and it's up here. It looks like a compass rose. So click on that and now you can move Garfield around. Garfield's kind of big, so I want to transform him. I want to change his size a little bit. So the command to transform is Command T, and now you see this box has come up. So I can alter the size now. I can transform him. And as soon as I have this box, I want to make sure I maintain that aspect ratio, his height to width proportion, so he doesn't look stretched out. So if you hold down Shift, that tells the computer to help you with keeping that aspect ratio. And then I come over here to a corner and drag it to make it look a little bit smaller and put it where I want. Now you won't be able to do anything else until you tell the computer, yes, this is what I want. So either go over here and hit the check mark or just hit enter. The box moves away. So now that I've got Garfield isolated, and then I have him the size I want, he's looking pretty old and scruffy. So I'm going to Photoshop him. I'm going to make him look better. So I'm going to zoom in a bit. So this is what photographers do for models. If they have any imperfections, they go in and they fix those imperfections. So that is why you should never trust what you see on advertisements. I want to fix Garfield's eye, because you can see all those little white scratches. So I'm going to come over here to my brush tool, and I want to paint over where the white parts are and make them look black. So I'm going to come over here, click on black, get as black as I can get. And up here are all the different options. So I can make my brush size smaller. I can change the different type of brush that there is. I can change the opacity. Right now it's at 56%. So if I move it up to 100, then it's going to completely cover it with the black, which is what I want. So let me zoom in on that eye a little bit. Again, you can see it's getting really pixelated. You can actually see where those pixels are. So if I click on here, it's going to add a layer of paint over that section. If I hold the mouse button down and then go over it, it'll maintain the amount of paint that it adds in there. But if I keep clicking over that section, it actually is going to make it darker because it's like it keeps adding new layers of paint. So determine whether you want it to maintain that layer or just make it darker. And if it's too dark, you can change the opacity so it's a little bit less. I'm going to make this part a little bit darker for Garfield so he looks a little bit better. And then over here, that eye's a little scuffed up too. There we go. It's making Garfield look young again. Getting rid of all of his wrinkles. So if I want to do the white, come over here, grab white. Far as you can on that corner and get as white as you want. And then it's a little too bright. I do want to blend it in a little bit. So if I change my opacity a bit, there you go. You can see a little bit of the underside coming through. Make those eyes look nice and white and bright again. Cover over that. Let me add a little bit. That pink needs to be a little darker, I think. Look a little brighter. Bring some new life into him. So cover over his nose. Notice that some of the, because my opacity is not at 100%, I didn't cover over the part where the light was reflecting off. There we go. Look how nice and new and young Garfield looks again. So there you go. Those are some of the things that you can do in Photoshop. So have fun editing your pictures and don't forget to put them in Canvas.